Hey there folks, Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese blintz, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
The family at the Epladolin want to help your loved one feel at ease in their new home environment. Epladolin offers beautiful one-bedroom and studio apartments. Residents enjoy 3 delicious home-style meals a day, laundry service, housekeeping service, and encouragement to make themselves cozy in their new home. Epladolin welcomes your family to come and visit their family. Epladolin Independent and Assisted Living. They make the complicated easy for you. Call today for a tour.
Hi, I'm Darcy Christofferson.
Good morning, television family. We are back. It's Tuesday, 16th day of May, 2023. I'm Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. 63 degrees, few more clouds at this time now than we had yesterday, especially to the east and to the north of us. And there's a great deal of unsettlement in the atmosphere, especially that mid-level area of the atmosphere. And that means we have a chance of some thunderstorms. It felt like maybe we were going to get 1 or 2 yesterday. Didn't happen. But it's going to be very warm again, well above normal. We'll be in the upper 80s today, a normal high of 72. This warm stretch is going to continue right into the weekend. In fact, record high temperatures are a distinct possibility on both Friday and Saturday this week, and close to it on Thursday. But those thunderstorms, a little worrisome. Those details are coming up, and also we'll check in with the Wenatchee River Monitor, the Aniat River at Aniat, and the Methow River, where it flows past Pateros into the Columbia River. They're getting up on their banks. We spent most of the day in the Upper Valley yesterday, filming a number of interviews for this program in the Leavenworth area, and you couldn't help but notice that the Wenatchee River is up there and going fast. Going to stay that way. A lot of snow still in the upper elevations of the Cascades. It's got to melt and go someplace, and eventually it comes down to here. News, yes, we will do that. For sports, as you probably know by now, the Kraken season came to an end. Philip Grubauer, our goalie, looked really good. It was only 2-1, by far the lowest scoring game of the series between the Kraken and the Stars, but the Stars got one more than the Kraken. We'll have highlights of that. And the Mariners in Beantown bombed Boston, not literally, but figuratively. Highlights of that as well. Colin Brine came by to see me yesterday. We taped the interview, going to air it for you in the back half of the program. He's involved with Leavenworth Rotary, and they're doing something they've never done before. It's called Rotary Reimagined. It's a 3-day event. Starts, basically, I think tomorrow, and then it really gets going on Thursday and Friday and into the weekend. It's a pretty fascinating little program that Colin and his crew have put together. Do not miss that interview. Colin Brine and myself in the back half of the program, and everything else. The usual shenanigans apply. Let's see what we have out there camera-wise on this Tuesday morning. There is the Wenatchee Valley, and you can always tell when the Columbia River is running faster than normal if you can see ripples in the water from that elevation. Now, when you get right down on the river, if you go down to the Apple Capital Recreational Loop Trail, you will see ripples pretty much year-round. But from that angle, that high up, you usually don't see ripples, and that tells me that it's cooking at a pretty good pace. Don't know how many spill gates they have open at the area dams. Maybe we'll be able to check that out, because I think we have the Omi Garden camera coming up. And again, all of the local rivers and streams are running very high and very cold and very fast. Let's check in with Cougar Ridge on the east side of town, looking down over the Otobashian Bridge. Nice quiet commute. Sun is bathing Sunny Slope. Man, has Sunny Slope just exploded or what? They keep going farther and farther up Birch Mountain with more and more developments in the Sunny Slope area. You can see Monitor out there waving. I'm waving to you, Monitor. Monitor is not waving back. Good morning to the north side of town from the Cougar Ridge camera. Let's check in with Omi, and this will tell you how many clouds they have up there. Yeah, the farther north you go up towards Chelan, you'll see some pretty ominous looking clouds. And as the day warms up, and it's going to be a very warm day today, will be a good 13 to 14 degrees above normal, and all that instability in the atmosphere, we could see some thunderstorms. They would always be in the late afternoon hours once the atmosphere really warms up. And it looks like they have a few spill gates open at Rocky Reach Dam. And to Black Mountain we go. Speaking of Leavenworth, let's take a little peek at Leavenworth. Black Mountain is high above Peshastin, and you can see a lot of snow melted in the Cascade foothills and the enchantments over the next couple of days. It wasn't that long ago there was quite a bit of snow up at those peaks, and you can see how much they have dissipated over the last 2 or 3 days, and that will continue. So increased flows by far in the area rivers for obvious reasons. And boy, if you factor in some isolated thunderstorms, which of course could mean some pretty serious rain, that's a bad combination. Let's take a look at where we are as far as the height and the flow. This is the Methow River near Pateros. This is the only one that we have that actually has the projected bank level into the early part of next week, and that's where it's at right now, in the middle of it, the blue dot. And that little red dot, the little red line, the dots, that's what they are thinking that the river's going to get to. This is the Methow River near Pateros. So it's going to get close to bank full, maybe not quite, but up there quite a bit. There's still a lot of snow in the North Cascades in British Columbia, and that ends up in the Methow River, which ends up in the Columbia, of course. So that's rolling pretty good. Next up in our check-in with the area rivers is the Anayatt River near Anayatt. Again, you can see it's starting to tick up higher and higher. They don't have as many tributaries as the other rivers do, number one, and number two, less snow in their shed. So is it going to get to that 11.2 record? No, but it's going to be up there a little bit. It's over 10 feet in depth, and it's flowing at a pretty good clip as well. And the Wenatchee River at Monitor. Oh, wait a minute. We already did that one. What's our other one there we have, Uriah? We have the Methow River near Pateros. We have the Anayatt River near Anayatt. Do we have the third one? Maybe we don't have the third one. Okay, well, I'll just let you know that the Wenatchee River at Monitor is cooking pretty good too. I know we saw it yesterday. All right, from the National Weather Service, let's move forward. Thunderstorms a possibility today, late in the afternoon, and that, of course, could bring some heavy rain if they pop up in some locations. I think I'll get a couple. High of 85. Yesterday we hit 87. Not quite as warm because we're going to have a few more clouds, and that's going to filter the sunshine. Again, a little bit of light rain possible tonight, but some of those isolated thunderstorms could get things rather wet rather quickly. 62 for the overnight low. Chance of thunderstorms goes down a little bit on Wednesday. A little bit warmer, but not quite as instability in the atmosphere, with a high of 87, 64 on Wednesday night. And then we dispense with the instability starting on Thursday. High pressure reestablishes itself. It moves back over our area, and we are going to be cooking, baby. Record high temperature on Friday, absolutely a possibility. Record high temperature on Saturday. I think we're going to get, both of those are going to be record high temperatures both Friday and Saturday, maybe by a few degrees. This is a very, very warm stretch for the month of May, and it's going to stay that way right through the weekend. It will cool down a little bit on Monday. We've had 7 days in the 80s in the month of May, and the normal high is 72. And we're going to go from 7 days to maybe 13 or 14 days, at least 80 degrees for the month of May. It's been a warm May after a cool April. So there you go. Lots going on with Mother Nature. Oh, there's the Wenatchee River Monitor. We found it. Okay, there you go. Take a look. It's not surprisingly, that little blue bar keeps getting higher and higher. And they think it'll peak right around Friday or Saturday and then go back down again. That record that you see, 30 feet, that's not going to happen, but still, can't stress that enough. The Wenatchee River is high and cold and fast. 8 minutes after the hour, going to take a break, then we'll have your headlines. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley Tuesday edition on the NCW Life channel.
If you are looking for dependable car service and repair, visit the good guys at Quick Lube and Tune. They've been keeping cars and trucks in the Wenatchee Valley running smooth for 35 years. Quick Lube and Tune is your hometown shop for a 10-minute oil change, complete tune-ups, alignments, brakes, mufflers, air conditioning service, and more. Get more life out of your vehicle by bringing it to the local guys you can trust at Quick Lube and Tune on South Wenatchee Avenue.
Get ready for your Memorial Day camping experience at Click It RV Moses Lake. We've got the lowest price on any RVs in the Pacific Northwest, featuring Grand Design and Flagstaff, and including Solitude, Momentum Toy Haulers, Reflection, Imagine, and Transcend. It's Click It RV's on-site pricing sale, May 4th to the 14th. Click It RV is offering an exclusive 4.99% interest, plus receive a Furman 3600-watt generator with every purchase. So don't miss the on-site pricing sale right here at your neighborhood Click It RV on Frontage Road.
Hi, everybody. Dan Kuntz alongside Jesse Coble from Alpine Air. We're switching from the cold of winter to the heat of summer. That can put a lot of stress in your HVAC unit.
Yeah, it really can, Dan. I would recommend that you get a maintenance. It can catch any potential problems that you might have during the peak of summer. And it's just a good idea to do on all season changes.
Great idea. Good advice. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Los bebés nacen aprendiendo. En los primeros años de vida, 1 millón de conexiones neuronales se forman por segundo. El aprendizaje temprano es crítico. El programa de apoyo temprano para niños por medio de NCSD tienen profesionales listos para apoyar familias que tienen preocupación con el desarrollo de sus niños. Proveen recursos, información y apoyo individual en el hogar, en los condados de Chelan, Douglas y Grant. Favor de comunicarse. Los bebés no pueden esperar.
More clouds out there, 63 degrees. We'll see some clouds and sun playing a little tug of war, but as it warms up in the afternoon and that instability in the atmosphere, a thunderstorm or two is certainly not out of the question today. It's 11 minutes after the hour. The man accused of shooting Elias Moros Antaveros to death last month, he could face trial as soon as the end of June. Eric Reyes pleaded not guilty last week to charges of second-degree murder, second-degree assault, and unlawful possession of a firearm. Police say he opened fire on a car occupied by Mora and his girlfriend as it pulled away from an East Wenatchee home back on April 17th. He was arrested 2 days later in a police raid on a Wenatchee motel, and in an arraignment hearing last Thursday, Judge Brian Huber set the trial date for June 28th, although lawyers indicate that it's likely to change as the investigation continues. An East Wenatchee man has to serve nearly 12 years in prison after he admitted to the rape of a 12-year-old girl. Yilmar Martinez Gonzalez pleaded guilty back in January to first-degree child rape and molestation committed against the victim in his household back in 2020. On Thursday, Douglas County Judge Brian Huber sentenced Martinez to 140 months, that's just over 11 and a half years in prison. The judge turned down a request from Martinez to serve his time in alternative treatment rather than in prison. The Wenatchee Valley Fire Department had a busy weekend, which usually isn't very good, but most of it turned out pretty good. They fought a brush fire, a kitchen fire, and a house fire. On Saturday afternoon, crews responded to a brush fire on steep and rocky terrain out in the Palisades, where light winds were blowing. They were able to contain that fire to about 3 acres. Shortly before 1 a.m. on Sunday, a fire broke out in the kitchen of the Thai restaurant in Wenatchee, where only minimal structural damage occurred, and the Wenatchee Police Department said people inside the restaurant were rescued by officers. Nobody was injured there. And then later on Sunday morning, at about 6:30, as a matter of fact, a house fire on Ashland Avenue in East Wenatchee. That's where crews were able to contain the fire to the exterior of the home and saved it from significant damage. Despite all those fires, everything turned out, for the most part, pretty good. Certainly could have been a lot worse. That special session to focus on a new drug possession law in the Washington State Legislature gets going this morning. Back in 2021, the Washington State Supreme Court overturned the state's felony drug possession law, and a temporary misdemeanor policy that was adopted expires on July 1st. Governor Jay Inslee called the special session earlier this month after legislators failed to pass the new law before the regular session ended back on April 23rd. 12th District Senator Brad Hawkins says he supports the decision for the special session, saying he hopes the final outcome is similar to Senate Bill 5536. That was the bipartisan compromise that ultimately failed in the House of Representatives. Special sessions are limited to 30 days, but Inslee says they can finish it up this week if the legislators can come up with an agreed-upon proposal. And the East Wenatchee Police Department and the Douglas County PUD have teamed up for a pretty cool little deal. It's an innovative police vehicle, The police fleet now includes an electric pickup truck from Ford. It's among the very first to be used by any Washington law enforcement agency. Police Chief Rick Johnson and Douglas County PUD General Manager Gary Ivey told us that the $57,000 investment should pay off when it comes to actually having to put gas in the car.
We became aware of these, just obviously Ford putting out a lot of info on them on, hey, we're going to do a Ford EV, Ford Lightning that's going to be set up for patrol, and nobody knew much about them or how it works, right? Just because there hadn't been a fleet patrol vehicle out there like that. So we actually approached Douglas County PUD. Gary and I first met, and I talked to Megan Vibbard first and just said, you think you guys would even be interested in partnering on something like this? I said, well, what are you thinking? And it was, we don't know anything about charging these things, getting set up for that.
We weren't 100% sure what we would need, but we settled on a level 2 charger, I think, for the time being. The PUD is really interested in what does this do to the electric grid? You know, how do we sort of take care of customers like this? We really want to reach out to our municipal friends first and get this figured out, because we know all of our fleets are switching over eventually, and we thought this would be a great pilot project for us to be involved in.
We're going to try the level 2 charger, see how that goes. The range on this is a little over 200 miles. An average patrol shift for us is at 40 to 50 mile range. So we think even with the colder temperatures and running the extra equipment, we think we'll be well within that with the level 2. They're still setting it up because it's the first of its kind. They're still getting it set up on the inside, but it has to have the mounting hardware for an MDT, which is a mobile data terminal or computer, gun racks, transport cage, storage system for all the equipment that they carry out there. And so this one has all of that set, and next week it's going back again to SPS, Systems for Public Safety, and it'll get the center console portion figured out, and then it will be on the road after that with one of our day shift sergeants. The biggest thing we need it for is we do haul things in the back, whether it's found property that won't fit in a car, a ton of found bikes and abandoned bikes and that stuff. We do have a crime response scene trailer that's out there in the back of the parking lot. We only have, this is the third vehicle that we have that has the ability to tow that, so we need a few full-size vehicles with towing capacity, but it wouldn't make sense for our fleet to be 100% that. On our regular gas vehicles, we're spending about $4,000 to $5,000, depending on who they're assigned to per year on those on fuel. The estimates on this from the PUD and the research we did, we think this one will be closer to $100 a month or less. So a substantial savings on just the actual energy cost to the taxpayer citizen to run a vehicle like this.
Now you know what's going on in the Wenatchee Valley in north central Washington on this Tuesday, and we will have a newscast for you as we always do, unless it's a holiday. We all like to take a few holidays now and again. The news on television at 5, 6, and 10, 5, 6, and 10 on the World Wide Web via our Facebook page, our homepage, or our YouTube page right around 5 o'clock. So the latest information, weather, and sports. We have it right here in a tight little package we call the news. And at the bottom of your screen is how you can get a hold of us if, in fact, you endeavor to get a hold of us. Go on the World Wide Web. It's pretty simple. When we come back, the Seattle Kraken, pretty good year, all things considered, overachieved. Came to an end last night in Dallas, but the Mariners all over the Red Sox. Sports is next. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
My name is Anna Marie. I've lived at Prestige here for 6.5 years, and I love it. They just made you feel so welcome. I love my room. I get 3 meals a day, do as I darn well want to. I've loved it ever since I moved in.
Mom's a wonderful, wonderful lady. She deserved the very best, and I got it for her here at Prestige.
The Lake Chelan Rotary Club invites you to experience Cycle Chelan, held June 24th, 2023. Pick your thrill from 4 rides: the Metric Century Challenge, Cycle Divino, the Lake Loop, or the Butte Blast. All profits from Cycle Chelan are used to support student scholarships and other charitable activities of the Lake Chelan Rotary Club. Cycle Chelan 2023, a route for every rider. Pick your thrill today.
Sports at 20 minutes after the hour. For the Kraken, their season came to an end. Game 7 of the Western Conference semifinals. Dallas takes it 2-1 last night. No scores in the first period. Then Dallas got the lead in the second. And it wasn't until the very closing seconds that Seattle finally got on the board. Philip Grubauer was great with one brilliant stop after another.
Some room for Miller. Shot pass deflected on net. Save made by Grubauer. It's loose. In the blue paint, they sprawl for it. Grubauer reaches back with the glove and cleaned it up with a melee in the blue paint. Heiskanen nearly at his pocket pick by Schwartz. It's freed up. Alexiak with a drive. Oh, that hit the iron. To Marchment. Sagan with some speed. Sagan, co-drag. Shoot. Save made by Grubauer. Snaps the glove out and flashes leather.
No doubt that Grubauer is starting to become a story as he's had several good glove saves here in this second period.
Alexiak lost it. Hintz moves in. Score! Arlie tries the opposite side. Dadonov sails one the length of the ice. No icing as Johnston's there. Johnston to the backhand. Score! Schwartz tucks it out in front. That hit the post. Bjorkstrand with a chance, and he hit the post. On the draw, Suter chops at the puck. Out in front. Backhand. Score! 17.6 seconds to go as Oliver Bjorkstrand gives just a last gasp of hope to the Kraken. To the sidewall, back to the point, done towards the net, save Ottinger. It ends up in the corner. Ben has the puck, clears the zone. Game 7 is over.
Coach Dave Haxtell says the credit goes to Dallas. They came out early and set the tone.
You know, we pushed as hard as we could push tonight, Nick. We just, we couldn't find our top gear. And that's give Dallas, a lot of credit in that regard. I thought they answered to a certain degree. They answered the game that we played in Game 6. They came home into their home building and put us under pressure. And as you got into that second period, that's where they tilted the game their direction.
Coach said back in training camp, he knew this group could be something special, and he was super happy that they actually came together as a team.
I guess what really stands out to me tonight, you look at the pain of the veteran guys in that room. One of the things that they have an understanding of, when you've got guys that have won cups and you've got guys that have, been on playoff runs before, they understand how difficult it is not only to get into the playoffs, but even to get to this point. We're one win away from having an opportunity to be one of the final 4 teams playing. So you see that pain in guys, especially in the veteran guys that really understand how hard it is to get here. For the young guys, you mentioned Maddie and, a couple of the young guys on our roster, that realization is there as well. But you also see the growth, in those guys and the importance of the experience that they just went through.
Philip Grubauer was really good all through the playoffs, and he said hopefully this will be a little something that'll motivate the team as they regroup in the offseason.
That's the first time this group has been to the playoffs, and I think the group got tighter and tighter together. I think Maddie said it, we play like a real team, and everybody's playing for each other, and that's what made it fun, and we enjoyed those moments. And Game 7, even though it's there's a lot on the line, we enjoy those, and that's why we play. And unfortunately we didn't win that game today, but you need to go through those moments in order to get strong as a team, to feel that pain in the summer and get back at it for the next season.
So for the Kraken, it's time to make your tea times, guys. And Dallas will move on to take on Vegas in the Western Conference Finals. By the way, as you probably already know by now, it's Florida and Carolina for the Eastern Conference Championship. Cal Raleigh became the first catcher in the 112-year history of Fenway Park to hit a home run from both sides of the plate. Seattle wins 10-1, and these weren't little home runs. These were bombs. His first homer came from the left side of the plate to break a scoreless tie in the 5th. His second from the right-hand side of the plate cleared the Green Monster, ended up on Lounsdown Street in the 6th inning.
It's a 2-0 Mariners lead. Big chopper, first base, down to second for one. Return fire to first, not in time. Ty France scores. See what Cal can do batting right-handed. Cal tees off to the monster. First from the left side, now the right side. It is all the way out of here. Lansdowne Street incoming. Multi-homer night. Cal Raleigh from both sides of the plate.
Well, it's a similar pitch, middle of the plate and down.
Gino, blast off, center field, taking flight, gone, home run, Eugenio! A tee shot to center, and the Mariners add on to the 8th. Through the left side for a base hit. Cal Raleigh being waved home. Here's the throw to the plate. It won't be nearly in time. It's cut off. Cal Raleigh scores standing. Well, this is laced down the left field line, and it short hops the wall. Teoscar scores. Wong moves into third. It's the second double tonight for Ty France. It brings home the Mariners' 9th run. This is through the left side. Kalnick scores. Now the bases remain loaded. It's an RBI single for Pollock. Wong's got it. Caballero under first. Double play ends the game. Now the Mariners break out the bats. They push 10 across. Kirby phenomenal. And the Mariners take game 1 with conviction from Fenway Park.
Hopefully they'll break out the bats again this afternoon. They take on the Red Sox in game 2. First pitch 4:10 on Root Sports Northwest. Beautiful day and beautiful golf course conditions greeted the top 30 players of the Big Nine for day 1 of the District 6 4A golf tournament at Three Lakes. Eastmont's Cal Anderson tops the leaderboard. He fired a first-round even par 69. Jackson Bishop out of Wenatchee High School, he's second. He shot a 1 over 70. Trey Lenchamayant led a solid group from West Valley. He had a first-round 71. The Rams, by the way, lead the team competition by 3 strokes over Eastmont and 6 strokes better than Wenatchee. Game 2, day 2, I should say, wraps up today at Rock Island. So don't get a tee time. They're a little busy. The District 6 4A girls tournament will be in Yakima today at the Apple Tree Golf Course. That starts at 11 a.m. The boys and girls from the Caribou Trail League will decide the District 6 1A golf tournament today. It's at the Okanagan Valley Golf Club in Omak. And Wenatchee hopes to extend their softball season today by getting past Sunnyside. It's a District 6 play-in game. The Panthers will host the Grizzlies at Walla Walla Plain Park this afternoon at 4 o'clock. The other play-in game is Eisenhower and West Valley. The winners of today's game will face off Saturday morning at the Sterling Fourplex and Eastmont and Moses Lake course at the same location for the district championship. Top-ranked Okanagan hosts 7th-ranked Brewster today for the District 6 2B softball championship. The game gets underway at 4:30 while Orville and Lake Roosevelt play in the consolation bracket. The winner of today's game between the Bears and the Bulldogs earns a trip to state. The loser will have to play the winner of the Hornets and the Raiders Friday for one last chance at state. And the WIAA State AB soccer tournament gets underway today for Tenasket. They have a game at Kings tonight at 6 o'clock. Chelan plays Connell tomorrow at 6. That will be in Quincy. Cascade is off until Friday. That's when they take on Kingsway Christian at Highland at 3 o'clock. And the winner between Chelan and Connell will then travel to Quincy Friday at 7 o'clock. Those are just some of the games that people are playing at 29 minutes after the hour. 5 obscure holidays I could have chosen. I could have chosen National Biographers Day. Nobody's written mine yet. It's National Sea Monkey Day. National Piercing Day. Yay. A National Love a Tree Day. Maybe I should have done that one. But today is National Do Something Good for Your Neighbor Day. We all have neighbors, whether you live in an apartment complex or in a good old-fashioned neighborhood or a cul-de-sac, or even if you live out in the middle of nowhere. Your property adjoins somebody else's, so do something good for your neighbor today. We all have neighbors to one extent or the other. And all neighborhoods seem to have, just basic neighborhoods always seem to have a number of things in common. There's the family that has probably too many kids and they can take care of. Then there's the mysterious couple who comes and goes at all hours of the day and night. Nobody knows what they do. There's the house that never has the shades open, you know, that kind of stuff. And the house that has the car parked on the lawn. That kind of deal. But, you know, being a good neighbor is just being a good neighbor. Keep an eye on your neighbor's property. If something doesn't seem right, ask about it. If you say, hey, I'm going to be gone for a 3-day weekend, can you keep an eye on the house? That kind of deal. Almost every neighbor I've ever had have been pretty good, and I like to think I'm a pretty good neighbor. So do something nice for your neighbor today. Help them with the groceries or point out that the house needs a paint job. Do something good for your neighbor day today. Always on May 16th because it's on the internet. Today in history, happy birthday to the nickel. It was on this date in 1866, 157 years ago today, that the United States Congress authorized the United States Mint to start making the half dime, the nickel. It costs more than 7 cents to make the nickel, which is worth 5 cents. So kind of like the penny, there's moves afoot to just simply dispatch with a nickel. As long as there's sales tax, the penny and the nickel and the dime, just change in general, will never, ever go away. You really think they're going to get rid of the penny in Illinois? I don't think so. Happy birthday to the nickel, 157 years ago today. 132 years ago today, there's 2 different kinds of ways to get electricity from the power plant to your house. One is the distribution lines, that's from the local things to your home. And then you have the transmission lines, which is the much high-powered thing that goes from the actual plant that's making the electricity to the substations that eventually go to your house. And they said, it can't be done. High-powered, long-distance transmission lines ain't going to work. Well, they all got together in Frankfurt, Germany, 132 years ago. A bunch of old white guys who were smarter than I am. It's called the International Electrotechnical Exposition. And they showed off their cool little toy. It ran about 75 miles, a high-powered 3-phase electric current, which is the system that's used today. The most common form today hasn't really changed much. And 132 years, and all the scientists and all the electricians went, that's pretty impressive. You can run power from a long way away and not lose any juice. We're in. Happened on this date 132 years ago today. Hard to believe, but during the tail end of World War I, it was against the law in this country to criticize the United States government. Criticism of government during a declared war was a law, and the Supreme Court upheld it. Now today, it's silly, it would be impossible to do. It was called the Sedition Act of 1918. Nobody was ever really convicted of it, and after they got rid of the Sedition Act, Woodrow Wilson pardoned everybody who got caught up in that act. It was repealed less than 2 years later. I mean, you can't criticize the government just because we're in a war. There are some countries who still have it. Anyway, we got rid of that. Thank you very much. Happy birthday to the Academy Awards. 94 years ago today, May 16th, 1929, in Hollywood, the very first Academy Awards was celebrated. The only Academy Awards that was not broadcast on radio or television. Every subsequent one from the second one on was broadcast on radio and then, of course, television after that. The entire program, from beginning to end, lasted 15 minutes. 15 minutes. The Academy Awards now last, what, 4 hours? And the reason it only lasted 15 minutes is because all the award winners were announced in advance 3 months before. There was no dramatic opening of the envelope, and the winner is, they all knew who won. So they just all gathered around, had lunch, a couple of cocktails, here's your trophy. Let's go back to work. First Academy Awards, 94 years ago today. And 39 years ago today, in baseball history, it wasn't much of a game. It was an exciting game. The Blue Jays beat the Twins 8-7 at the Metrodome. Attended 6,346. 6,346 people watched the Blue Jays beat the Twins. They sold 51,863 tickets. You say, wait a minute, what the hell was going on? The Twins wanted out of their lease with the Metrodome. They wanted to move. This was 1984, which is hard to believe because the Twin Cities is a huge baseball community. The owners wanted out. Their lease was pretty simple. If they didn't sell 2.41 million tickets during the 1984 season, they could get out of their lease. Well, a Minnesota businessman said, I'm not going to let that happen. And he started a campaign, and this guy, the guy by the name of Harvey McKay, bought 44,166 tickets just for himself, just so they could keep the, that's not an interesting idea. 51,863 tickets sold, 6,346 show up. I was on this date in 1984. Birthdays, all heavenly birthdays today. Henry Fonda, Grapes of Wrath, all the great westerns that he did, On Golden Pond, 12 Angry Men, and everything else, legendary Henry Fonda. He's the one actor, he and Jimmy Stewart, they look effortless, like they're not even trying. Henry Fonda, born in this state in 1905, died in 1982. He made a couple of lousy disaster movies in the 70s. He probably needed the money, but anyway. Liberace. You talk about flamboyance, Liberace. In the 60s and 70s, Liberace was the highest paid entertainer in the world. Pretty good piano player. Liberace, born in the state in 1919, died of AIDS in 1987. And Alfred Manuel Billy Martin, born in the state in 1928, had a fairly successful career as a Major League Baseball player, won some world championships with the Yankees. In 1969, he got his first big league managerial gig. He took over the Minnesota Twins, led them to the playoffs, couldn't get along with management, and was fired at the end of the year. In 1972, he took over the Detroit Tigers, led them to the playoffs, couldn't get along with management and ownership, and was fired. In 1974, he took over the worst team in baseball, the Texas Rangers, and turned the fortunes of their franchise around. They almost won their division, couldn't get along with the owner of the Texas Rangers, and was fired. In 1975, he took over the New York Yankees. In 1976, they won the pennant. In 1977, they won the World Series. In 1978, he couldn't get along with the owner and was fired. In 1980, he took over the Oakland Athletics, turned around the worst team in baseball, led them to the playoffs, was named Manager of the Year for the 5th time, couldn't get along with ownership, and was fired. There are those who think, and I am among them, that Billy Martin may very well be the best manager in baseball history. He's got an argument. 37 minutes after the hour. Going to take a break. Mike Magnotti's got an opinion, and then a really cool event. There's a lot of events taking place in Leavenworth this weekend. There's the Dangerous Woman play at the Snowy Owl Theater. There's the Bird Fest is going on all over north central Washington. But Colin Brine wants to plant your seed about Rotary Reimagined. And if you don't know what the hell we're talking about, you will when we come back. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Pool and Spa, located on South Wenatchee Ave, has the largest selection of spas and swim spas in town. Stay cool this summer in an artesian swim spa and use it all year long. We enjoy helping families reconnect one spa at a time. Hot tubs are proven to improve sleep and decrease arthritis pain. Our passion is water, so please bring us a water sample, and we will help you diagnose your pool or spa water for free. Blue Lagoon Pool and Spa, your pool and spa experts.
Hey there folks, Blueberry Carrie here to invite you on out to experience Blueberry Hills. Of course, the food is fabulous, like our cheese splints, our famous French dip, our legendary Eggs Benedict, and unforgettable burgers. But we're more than just great food. People come from all over the world to experience what's been called one of the best destination restaurants in the Pacific Northwest. So come on out and see what all the fuss is about. Blueberry Hills in Manson. It's where the world is coming to.
This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, regarding their success in earning money, I have heard people say that I've worked hard for what I have, and I deserve my financial success. Well, I do commend such folks, and I'm a believer in hard work, but let's be honest. A major factor in our financial success in this society is that we exist in a very blessed economic system. If it was hard work alone that guaranteed financial success, the richest people in the world would very likely be women in sub-Saharan Africa or some other such place. Now, let's admit it. Hard work may be a contributing factor in making a lot of money, but it is certainly not a universal guarantee that because I worked hard, I deserve to have more money than someone else. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether.
We provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
At Local Myth Pizza, we believe in real food, freshly prepared with only premium ingredients. Our cheeses are imported from Italy. Our sauces, dressings, and even our sausages are made in-house fresh daily. Featuring Northwest craft beers and 30 Chelan Valley wines and ciders. Family fun and amazing food. Eat local, drink local, and be local at Local Myth Pizza.
Come see why Sunset Magazine says you can't beat Local Myth Pizza. Welcome back to the program. All of North Central Washington is awash in all kinds of service clubs do really good work. Lions Club, Exchange, Rotaries, you name it. They're out there and they're doing it. And by golly, up in Leavenworth, they're upping the ante a little bit with a big, big conference going on all week long and really spilling into the weekend. It's called Imagine Rotary Reimagine. And you're going to, wait a minute, what the hell does that mean? Well, Colin Bryan is going to tell us exactly what the hell that means. He's helping put this on. Thanks for coming in and joining with us.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be here.
A little background about you, Colin, before we get into the nuts and bolts. Tell folks about you.
Yeah, well, I'm a Wenatchee native, and I spent, before I do what I do now, I spent 20 years in public accounting. I was a CPA and a partner in a firm here, and learned actually a lot of the craft that I use now in my my company called Be Clearly, where we do a lot of community engagement and leadership development and those kinds of things. So it's exciting to be able to put those talents to work, in particular for this conference that we're putting on here shortly.
And this is a big one. This is a huge, huge event. And the first thing we need to say right out of the box, you think, of course, Rotary Club and Rotary. This isn't for Rotary members. This is not just for Rotarians. This is for anybody of all shapes and sizes. This is not a Rotary event.
That is absolutely true, and that's one of the new ideas about this. We actually bylined this or subtitled it A New Way to Conference. And yes, it is open to the public, and we're going to be, I mean, you might as well have called it Imagine Community Reimagine, because we're going to put people together in teams, and they're going to collaborate and come up with new inventions about how to enhance and make their communities thriving in new and better ways. And then Rotary is going to be alongside them and learn from that at the same time. So yeah, very different.
Rotary is the largest and oldest and most well-known of all the service clubs. It goes back to Chicago in the late 1890s. I suppose. So there are still some Rotary philosophies and themes that will permeate throughout the course of the week. So tell me about the genesis of this. Is this?
Yeah, the reason that this is why it is partly because it's where it is. So Leavenworth is chosen because it traditionally is held in the town or the club town of the district governor. Our district governor is Carl Ruther, and he's from Leavenworth, so Leavenworth by default becomes the host club. The town becomes that. Well, we look at Leavenworth, it's not a conference city, right? It doesn't have a conference hotel or a convention center. So I looked at that as one beginning point, and then I looked at, we're just coming out of the pandemic. People have been disrupted, and Leavenworth is a place where you could have a disruptive kind of event. And third, the last part is that Rotary is challenged, like other service clubs you just mentioned, in terms of relevance. We're not reaching new audiences, and the service ideal of Rotary, which is timeless, is challenged by many of the practices, rituals, and so forth that may be unattractive to younger generations. So I took those 3 ideas and said, we're going to blow this thing up. We're going to do something entirely different and unprecedented. We're going to take advantage of this disruption and engage people in a new way.
As you mentioned, it's become problematic, and we've addressed this on this show before. Most of the service clubs, almost without exception, have seen a decline in membership over the last decade or so, be it the various Lions clubs, the Rotary clubs. How do you account for that? How come the service clubs are seeing a decline in membership?
Well, the simplest answer, Dan, is they're aging out, and so we're not effective in bringing in younger and newer audiences. And in part, that's what we hope to discover in this conference. We've invited up to 100 high school students to be active participants in this exercise. And we need to hear from them. We need to learn from that. And they don't care any less about the planet or service or the world they want to live in 20, 30 years from now. But we have to understand how they relate to it so we can learn. We're the learners now, and we need to take advantage of that.
Was this something that was based in Rotary, and they said various chapters and clubs, you want to take a run at doing this kind of thing, or was this a local idea that was taken up the Rotary ladder to higher up?
This is largely a creation of my own doing, and I'll tell you why, Dan. It's because I've been in Rotary for over 40 years, and I have been an active and very visible Rotarian, and I have been missing in action during many of those years. And I saw this opportunity, especially with those ideas that I shared before, to do something really different. I saw this as my one opportunity where I could come in and create a new kind of genre and a new kind of awakening to reimagine things. And I thought, this is my chance. I have to do this. And so, I had Carl's help, and I have Mike Warden, who's the president of the Leavenworth Club, and I pitched my ideas, and they said, wow, that's tough and that's interesting, but yeah, let's do that. And so that's where it was born, and it slowly but surely has taken off. You can imagine anything where you're trying to reimagine something, and people, they don't realize maybe how unconscious and how practiced they are in their habits. And so everything about this is changing that up. And so even trying to get those ideas out to people, it's slow at first, but gradually it's become a flywheel. It's picking up momentum, so I'm really pleased about that.
And it's a busy schedule that starts tomorrow, May 17th, and goes right through into the weekend, right?
Absolutely. So I purposely created a series of events which I call prologue events, and so they're fun events that everybody can join in throughout the valley and the community. It doesn't have to be a Rotarian or anything. So they're much like some things the other Rotary clubs do, like bike rides and so forth. So there's 5 different events, and those are run and hosted by the Leavenworth Rotary Club. So they get things warmed up, and then we go into the conference proper, which begins on Friday, and we really get into the meat of it. But you're right, we've got all these warm-up activities, road rallies, we have the U.S. versus Canada putting tournament, things like that. Really, really a lot of fun. Mike has done a tremendous job in coming up with those, and those will be super fun before we actually get to the conference itself.
And you brought in some heavy hitters for the conference itself.
We sure did, and we had 2 in particular. So we have Keegan Randall, the first U.S. Nordic skier to win a gold medal in Nordic skiing, and she was also a pioneer. She was actually the first to win a World Cup title in sprint skiing way back when, and since then she's won like 19 more. So she's going to talk to us, of course, about her life story and what she had to reimagine along the way. Turns out she didn't start skiing till later. Kind of interesting. I won't give it away, but
no, her backstory is very interesting.
Yeah.
And her current story is very interesting too. Again, we don't want to give that all away.
Yeah, she is a cancer survivor too, so she'll be probably talking about that a bit. But yeah, coming into a town where we have 2 Nordic programs that actually have national contenders, really special. And actually, we've hooked her up on Friday night for a special event for those kids in those programs. They get to come meet her and so forth. So that's not on the official conference agenda, but we took advantage of her being there. So that's one, and then we have Ed Beesters. Ed Beesters is the icon of mountaineers, world famous. He's summited all the world's 14 8,000-meter peaks without supplemental oxygen. He's been instrumental in a lot of the IMAX filming, including the big disaster in 1996 on Mount Everest.
Yep, remember that.
When we lost some of our great climbers. Anyway, he's going to be fascinating. really great. And they're both speaking to the idea of reimagination, as you can imagine.
So this is, as you mentioned before, Leavenworth being a tourist town, you know, come in, spend your money, get the hell out. This doesn't really lend itself to a central location. But is there a central location from a lot of, like, the Fest Hall or whatever?
There is, Dan. Okay. Yeah. So we are fortunate in that Leavenworth does have the Fest Hall, and it can be multi-purposed in so many ways. So yeah, that'll be the general headquarters, and we also have an outdoor expo. So we have this, what we call a Rotary Cause Village. So we'll have cause vendors sharing things about Rotary, and many of our local organizations that are doing some really cool stuff that are in alignment with Rotary causes, you know, things with the environment, education, you know, clean water and those kinds of things. So, and they'll be outside the Fest Hall, and the best thing about that is all our Leavenworth visitors, that's really for them. You know, the conference attendees will be inside doing their thing, but that's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, everything is at the Fest Hall, centrally located, but everything else is dispersed, where they eat, where they stay, all those kinds of things.
Well, and it's a great idea, because there's going to be people coming to town this weekend. The weather's going to be beautiful, maybe a little hot, but still, and it's always a little cooler in Leavenworth anyway. And they're going to go, what the hell's going on over there? And then they're going to kind of stumble onto a good thing.
That's exactly what we hope, Dan, is that they'll, you know, see the tents and see the banners and the flags and so forth. So let's go check that out, and then they'll become more interested. And there's a lot they can learn. And yeah.
But what do they want? What do you want them to take away from this thing? For people who say, what the hell? I'll take a run at it.
For those that can have a taste of it, I'd like them to see that maybe Rotary is different than what they think. I think I tell people Rotary doesn't have. They have a perceived relevance problem. They don't really have a relevance problem. I often tell people I think Rotary is like the greatest human invention of all time, and it's humanity's greatest hope, you know, for peace and understanding and world problems and so forth. And yet our relevance, our perceived relevance, is people don't either have made up their minds on, you know, some branding or some experience they had maybe when they were younger. It doesn't matter. But what I'd like them to do is have a reimagined view of what they thought Rotary was. And I'm not here on a campaign to recruit members, but I would like them to become maybe changed a little bit about the power of Rotary and interested. And the last thing I'll say about that is the other thing I tell people, I said, you know, Rotary's like the Amazon of service opportunities. So, you know, anything you want to purchase or get engaged with anywhere on the planet, locally, regionally, globally, you know, it's a huge shopping moment, a huge opportunity moment for service. So that's the other thing.
And Rotary makes an impact. All we need to do is talk about polio.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was something that the Rotary International took on.
Absolutely.
And kudos, they did it, you know. I mean, come on.
Very, very close. Yeah, they haven't, you know, just very close. We're this close, and we're still chasing it, but we're going to get there for sure. And what an audacious goal. Well, you know, what a just cause that everybody can get behind for sure. Polio was devastating. A lot of people don't remember.
And one last thing, and I mentioned this before, I've spoken on behalf of the TV station at various service clubs and organizations when they get together for their weekly meetings. They always seem to be having fun. It's not some sober beat somebody upside the head and do something good for the community. They're enjoying themselves. They like getting together.
Yeah, that is really true. I mean, we talk about the service ideal, but we're brought together around a common ideal of service. But we love hanging out with each other. We like spending time. We like talking about what's going on in other people's lives. We like talking about our communities. So yeah, the term is fellowship. Maybe there's a better term we can use going forward, but definitely getting together in the social aspect is a huge benefit and a huge give too.
What do people need to do to get involved with Imagine Rotary Reimagined?
Yeah, there's a couple of easy things they could do. I mean, the best thing they could do is register for the conference at rotaryreimagined.com. And the next thing they could do is we have two other opportunities. We are giving away 100 brand new bicycles to 100 kids in the Cascade and Kashmir school districts, kids that may never get a bike, let alone a new bike in their future.
Every kid should have a bike.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, the memories of what that meant as a youth is incredible. So 100 of these kids are going to get these bikes, and the conference is actually going to make that happen. We have a community impact event on Friday. That's how we kick it off. But what people can do is they can go to rotaryreimagined.com, go to events, and go to the Bikes for Tykes, and you can sponsor a kid to get a bike for $150. So they get almost $500 worth of value. We partner with James Bicycles out on the East Coast, huge quality bicycle manufacturer. They sponsor to get the bikes down to the $150. Then they get a helmet, backpack, lock, and the bikes will be fully inspected. And so, like, if you want to make a difference in a kid's life, go and sponsor there for $150, get several, put your name in there, and we'll match that kid up with that kid will know where the bike came from as a result of that. So super easy way to get involved there. The other is you could sponsor one of those high school students to go to RYLA. RYLA stands for Rotary Youth Leadership Award, and we've merged that concept into the conference, so every kid that comes through that program has a camp experience, but they experience every bit of the conference. It's worth over $700. You can sponsor a kid for $400. It covers all their expenses, their Y camp, the conference, everything. So we need people to do that. So those are some simple ways for sure that they can, even if they're not coming to the conference. Last, just come up, wander around the streets of Leavenworth,
Sure.
And get an ice cream and go up and check out the Rotary booth.
Service above self, and I can guarantee you right now, this guy's taking it to the next level because you and your crew, they ain't getting paid squat. Put all this together. You're putting in hundreds of hours to make this happen.
True.
For just because it's the right thing to do.
It is. I'm hoping, and by the way, I built or designed this conference to be replicated. It's a blueprint. It is an experiment of its own. It's a prototype, but everything we've built has been built to do again somewhere else. So maybe it's another Rotary district, maybe it's a community, maybe it's a school, I don't know. Every single organization needs to take opportunities from time to time to imagine something reimagined. So.
Seeds can fall off a tree and take root, but it's much easier to plant a seed. Why take those kinds of chances?
Well said.
This seed will be planted.
Yeah.
All right. Again, their website is RotaryReimagined.com. It's a great website, by the way. Who did that? It's well done.
Our marketing director is Jamie Howell.
Oh, there you go. Howell at the Moon.
He's extremely talented, and he's got a team and everything. So even when you look at the website, it's totally unexpected, right? Yeah. It's unexpectedly delightful and enjoyable. Hats off to him. He's an incredible partner to work with.
And I'm glad we could be a part of it too, because NCW Live Channel is one of the sponsors.
You are a sponsor, and Local Tell as well, and we can't thank you enough for doing that and being that. We can't do this without the sponsors. I mean, that's a big part of the
Get
foundation.
a hold of me early next week. Let me know how it went, all right?
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
U.S. versus Canada mini golf tournament. Now that I'm looking forward to. That'll be fun. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Looks like our surgery patient is feeling better today.
Yep, I didn't need any oxy today. I thought I'd do a little surgery on the drain.
Huh. Do you need your pain pills anymore?
No.
Well, we should get them out of the house. There are places to drop them off.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I can do that right now.
And I will look at the drain.
Prevent opioid misuse. Find safe medication return options near you at med-project.org.
The newest generation of GMC Sierra pickups offer the most advanced technology, the strongest selection of powertrain, and everything else you need to work hard, play hard, and explore the boundaries of the Wenatchee Valley and beyond. Take a look at the latest, most luxurious and durable trucks on the market.
You will see why GMC is not your grandfather's pickup.
You want to bet, kid?
Castle Rock International is the Northwest premier real estate agency for large acreage properties, farms and ranch land, lodging and resorts, and other distinctive commercial real estate. Professional, knowledgeable, and discreet, Castle Rock International has the listings and the buyers you have been looking for. Contact John McNamara at Castle Rock International today, or visit their website for more information on this award-winning company.
All right.